So there might finally be some good news on the horizon for a team that has caught bad look after bad look almost all offseason long. It's at least progress being made that's worth processing through, so I've got to talk about that. The Rams adding to their running back room, the future of another running back that was seemingly up in the air, not so at least for this year, I think, and more right after. Alright, first up is some potentially good Trey Hendrickson news. Well, maybe. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported yesterday that the Bengals have resumed communication with Trey Hendrickson about his contract and future with the team. He didn't say that anything was imminent or anything like that. But honestly, this is a good sign that something could get done to keep Trey and Cincy long term. It's the best time to do it. You want to get something done now in between mandatory minicamp and training camp, because in a perfect world, you want Trey Hendrickson out there for training camp and not have this long, weird holdout, kind of like Jamar Chase did last year. Other players have done it in years past, and this helps contribute to Cincy having slow starts. They've started 0-2 the last 2 or 3 years alone. Anyway, Trey skipped all of OTAs and mandatory minicamps so far, getting fined over $100,000 to do so. He's also been vocal all offseason long about the lack of communication from the Bengals front office with contract talks and made it clear that he will not play under his current deal, which has just 1 year remaining on it. Hendrickson went as far as to say he's willing to miss training camp and even the regular season if he has to. Again, since he does not want to go through this again, if humanly possible. There's been no momentum towards anything getting done up to this point, so while this doesn't guarantee that a contract gets done here, at least it is a step in the right direction. I've talked about Trey and this whole situation a bunch on this channel, but the man deserves to be among the highest paid edge rushers, and it's not really up for debate. He's coming off of back-to-back seasons of 17.5 sacks and just led the NFL last year. He was one of the only bright spots on a lackluster defense, and that's exactly why you need to stop messing around and get this man signed, as well as their first-round pick, defensive end Shamar Stewart, who left early the last day of mandatory minicamp last week and is still yet to sign his rookie deal. Stewart is the only draft pick holding out like this, but he's far from the only draft pick yet to sign a contract. There are still 3 first-round picks, so Shamar and 2 others, and 30 second-round picks. There's also 3 third-rounders and 6 from the 4th round at this point in time. The absurd amount of second-rounders that remain unsigned, by the way, is because for the first time in NFL history, a couple of second-round draft picks got fully guaranteed deals, with those being the first 2 picks of the second round. That was the 34th overall pick, wide receiver Jaden Higgins with the Texans, who was actually the first to get a fully guaranteed deal, and then the 33rd overall pick, linebacker Carson Swessinger of the Browns, who was next. So yeah, most of these other second-round picks are holding out, hoping they can get more guaranteed money, if not fully guaranteed money, though the later they were drafted in the second round, the less likely that is to happen. And then the Saints recently signed running back Cam Akers to add to their running back room. Akers spent his first 3 seasons with the Rams before being traded to Minnesota in 2023 and ended up signing with the Texans before last season. Just 5 games into the season, though, the Vikings actually traded for him again. Back-to-back seasons, he ended up playing for the Vikings, which is pretty crazy. He ended up playing in every regular season game for the first time in his career, which is significant because the year prior he tore his left Achilles. Then in 2021, he tore his right Achilles with the Rams. So yeah, it's honestly impressive that a running back who's never really been a star player from a production standpoint has torn both of his Achilles and has managed to stay in the NFL. This will be his 6th season in the league, and he'll be joining a backfield in New Orleans that features Alvin Kamara, of course, then 3rd-year running back Kendre Miller, former Chief Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then KU's own Devin Neal, who they drafted in the 6th round this year. They're obviously not keeping 5 running backs on the roster, at least I don't think so, so there's really no guarantee that Akers even makes the team, and I would say Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably isn't safe himself, so they're both going to be fighting it out. Regardless, Akers is a solid vet to bring in and have him compete. Why not? The more depth, the higher the floor, the better for any team, regardless of how things look. And if Akers doesn't end up making the team, I'm sure the Vikings already have his locker ready just in case. Speaking of running backs, I want to talk about the future of Jets running back Breece Hall. He's headed into a contract season and is looking to get closer to his production from the 2023 season rather than 2024. Hall still had 1,359 yards from scrimmage last year, so it's not like he was a scrub, a bum, or anything like that. It was still still a pretty impressive year, but he also had a career low in yards per carry, a career low in yards per game, and fumbled a career high 5 times, though thankfully only one of those 5 fumbles were lost. He's also yet to crack the 1,000-yard mark in his first 3 years, though he was just 6 yards away in 2023, and in 2022, he tore his ACL in Week 7. And with the way Aaron Glenn has been talking about the Jets' running back room as a whole, to add even more to this, it doesn't sound like Breece is going to be cracking 1,000 this year either. Glenn said he's looking to get both Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis more involved this year, their 4th and 5th round picks from 2024. Allen got 92 carries last year, nearly half of Breece's carries, while Isaiah Davis had only 30. So it sounds like it might be more of a by committee approach this year, plus Justin Fields is their new quarterback, and he's likely going to eat a bit into Breece's production as well with some designed QB runs. That's to the benefit of the team for sure, a team that finished second to last in rushing yards per game last season, but it's not as ideal for Hall, who's looking to get paid next offseason. That's why his name was floated out there in offseason trade talks. If the Jets thought they might not sign him to a new deal, they then could possibly flip him for future assets now instead of letting him walk for nothing after the 2025 season, especially considering they drafted 2 running backs in last year's draft. There were reports before the draft that New York could be eyeing Ashton Jeanty at pick number 7 and were open to trading Breece if Jeanty fell to them. Well, he went to Vegas the pick before, and the Jets ended up drafting offensive tackle Armand Mimbu. Well, that brings us to the here and now, where Breece spoke with the media during minicamp and said that he saw all the rumors during the offseason, but Aaron Glenn actually called him and reassured him of his role on the team.
AG called me and told me he wanted me to be here. He's like, Breece, do you think I want to trade you? And I was like, I don't know. He was like, Breece, I don't want to trade you, so I want you to be here. You're gonna be here. You're a running back. And
so there you go. It sounds like Breece is sticking around in New York for this season at least. We'll see if the running back by committee approach plus the signing of Justin Fields helps get their run game back on track. They didn't do much to address their O-line aside from drafting Mimbu and signing center Josh Myers and tackle Chukwuma Okorafor, but maybe they didn't need to. 4 of the 5 starters from last year are still around, yes, and while not every one of those guys have a lock for the starting role in 2025, continuity can help from one season to the next, and they were 16th among all teams in their pass block grade and 12th against the run per PFF for what that's worth, so that's still average to slightly above average. And you also now have a more mobile quarterback in Justin Fields. Now, aside from Breece Hall, let's talk about 2 other young stars from the Jets 2022 draft class, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. Since they were both first-round picks, they have a 5th-year option on their rookie contracts, both of which the team picked up this offseason. They actually picked up 3 5th-year options, believe it or not, because they had 3 first-round picks in 2022, with the other one being edge rusher Jermaine Johnson, who's coming off of an Achilles tear he suffered early last season. But I want to focus on Sauce and Garrett Wilson because both of these guys could be getting contracts that put them at the top of their positions, at least in terms of highest paid. As for Sauce, he's confirmed that he and the Jets have been in contract negotiations, saying they've been going very well. It's worth noting because the Jets have actually never extended a first-round pick after just 3 seasons. They usually wait until after the 4th year. However, their newly hired GM Darren Muji mentioned locking up their top young players, and since Sauce has said both sides are already in negotiations, it looks like the Jets could be making an exception to how they've done things for years. When asked about it, Sauce declined to say whether he would like to surpass Derek Stingley's new 3-year $90 million contract or not. Stingley is the current highest paid corner at the moment, though Sauce's next deal should put him pretty close since he's in the conversation of being one of the top DBs in the league. Through his first 3 seasons, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year and was named to 2 All-Pro teams. Since 2022, when he was drafted, he had the highest coverage grade on PFF at 91.9. He's also forced 46 incompletions in his career. That's the most of anybody since 2022. And he's allowed a league-low 0.60 yards per coverage snap over that span as well. Yeah, he may not just get close to Stingley's contract. He might honestly beat it, though if you compare last year to the couple years prior, he is coming off a quote-unquote bit of a down year, but not every year can be as high as Sauce's were the first 2 in the league. Garrett Wilson figures to break the bank as well, as he's one of the best young wideouts in the game. Get this, he's one of just 5 players in NFL history to record over 80 catches and 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons. Even last year, in the midst of a tumultuous season for the team, Wilson managed to have a career year with over 100 catches, 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Is he going to get the $40 million a year that Jamar Chase got? Probably not, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him in that next tier where Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, and A.J. Brown are, somewhere around the 30 to 35 million per year mark most likely. And that's why, if I'm the Jets, I would do everything possible to try and get both of these contracts done this offseason and not wait another year. You already know both of these guys are franchise cornerstones moving forward, and the longer you wait on extensions, the more you're going to have to pay. The Jets currently have the 5th most available cap space in the league at around $37 million, and for what it's worth, Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets for ESPN, said he would be surprised if they don't get at least one deal done by the start of the season. We'll see if that comes true or not, but either way, I am very much looking forward to their Week 1 matchup against the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, who of course is playing against his former team. The scriptwriters are going crazy, even though I know they had no way of knowing Rodgers would be a Steeler, but still, pretty cool Week 1 matchup there. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Let me know your thoughts on some of the stuff I covered in today's video, and with that, I'll see y'all next time.